Greetings to all. This is a session on classical evolutionism. We are discussing here anthropological theories. So basically giving a brief background about what evolutionism is, what is exactly classical evolution, the cultural evolution. Okay. So evolutionism is defined as a process in which different forms are produced or they are developed orderly in a system. Broadly speaking, there are two streams of thoughts which are identified in evolutionary school, the classical evolutionary and the neo-evolutionary. So in this presentation, we'll be strictly talking about classical evolutionary school of thought. Classical evolutionism, as itself says, it was the first theory in anthropology. It originated in later half of 19th century, also called as a constructive phase of anthropology, especially 1855 till 1900. The classical evolutionists postulated evolutionary schemes which projected cultural development of humankind, and it to some extent also emphasized on the social institutions. So this concept of cultural evolution is defined as a continuous process by which different successive forms in socio-cultural institutions or the cultures of mankind as a whole are developed and accumulated to constitute the growth of culture over different periods of time. So basically, the intellectual atmosphere of the Enlightenment and the philosophical movements that time has stressed upon the social progress that based on human reason and also along with the Darwin's theory of evolution altogether gave to an emergence of modern anthropology as a whole. Now, the underlying principle of this theory is about identified in terms of 3-4 factors. Firstly, it says that the culture always evolves in a sequential manner. It says that it evolves from a simple to complex form, a homogeneous to heterogeneous, from an indefinite to definite form, and from different societies that have similar cultural traits arising out of parallel inventions of a culture trait. It's also called as the consequence of the psychic unity of mankind, as we'll be discussing in the later section of this presentation. Now, based on the nationality of the scholars who postulated these theories, the evolutionary school of thought is classified into three: the British school of thought, the German school of thought, and the American school of thought. The major pioneers considered for the British school of thought is the contributions by E.B. Taylor and L.H. Morgan from the American school of thought. Now, there was an American anthropologist, Julian Stewart, who reviewed and revived the evolutionary theory in itself when working on the cultural growth. And in 1955, he proposed threefold classifications of evolutionary approaches, which are called as unilinear, universal, and multilinear. So the unilinear approach of 19th century evolutionists was classified as a unilinear evolution because it assumes that the culture evolution happened through successive developmental stages. This process of evolution is always from a simple stage to a complex stage or from a homogeneous stage to a heterogeneous stage, and it's generally observed that it's always progressive in nature because it's always upgrading itself. The second form of cultural evolution is the universal evolution. It's concerned with the evolution of culture of mankind as a whole. So Julian Stewart pointed that the universal evolution is an elaboration of the unilinear model, because even in the universal model, there is an obsession of various stages. While the unilinear model emphasizes about a particular culture, the universal model has always emphasized on different stages of culture of mankind as a whole. So thus it strictly discards that there are different forms of variations or distinctions of cultural traits. Okay. The third model is a multilinear model. It establishes the sequences of parallel developments that could be investigated in individual reality. Unlike the universal model, it emphasizes on the general evolution, and this model has emphasized more on the specific evolution. Thus, there is a search for cultural parallels among the societies, and it's always based on this assumption that the cultural similarities exist in culture, and the changes happen due to parallel discoveries across different places in the world. Apart from this, there are also different forms of development which views that social institutions, for instance, they did not merely develop as an upright straight line, but they developed along a parabolic curve, as we will be discussing in further presentations. They claim that evolution started when a social institution, let's say it was in an initial form, then it moved to a more upgraded form, and it returned to the original form but in a more higher level version, right? So the pioneer from British School of Evolutionism, E.B. Taylor, he gave evolutionary schemes on the cultural evolution and for the development of religions. His approach is known as unilineal evolution. Apart from him, there are other unilineal evolutionists like L. H. Morgan, Merritt, H. S. Main, Beckhoffen, and others. And it was believed that each society in this world has moved through similar stages of culture. He has written in a book on ancient society, and in this book he proposed the idea that each society has passed through major stages of culture development, and these stages, they were marked by technological breakthrough in terms of the family structure, the ownership of the property, etc. And based on this, he classified into three: savagery, barbarism, and civilization forms. Later on, this proposition was also used by scholars like Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels in their political theorizations. And he also stated that religion originated as a belief of man in anima, also called as soul, and it evolved and passed through the stages of polytheism to monotheism. He formulated the concept of survivals to explain the symbolic meaning of certain social customs that have lost the significance in the present states, but they are quite significant when we understand why they originated in the first place. Later on, his theory was also criticized on the major grounds that he was just an armchair anthropologist and using just the non-scientific ethnographic data does not make his approach more universal in nature, and therefore it could not be used at a larger pace. Now, there was a widely held belief that in terms of psychic makeup, we human beings are all same everywhere. So consequently, for any given problem, let's say there are two societies, they're living in a similar environment or say similar geographical makeup. So there will be this hypothesis that we have a similar psychic makeup, we are belonging to a similar state of mental being, and consequently for any similar problem, the humans would think out possible solutions in similar ways. Thus, the cultures were supposed to be undergoing process of evolution from the simple to the complex, and the cultural parallels were therefore explaining this psychic unity of mankind. Okay, this was the basic assumption of 19th century evolutionists based on unilineal evolution postulation with the underlying principle of psychic unity of mankind. Moreover, for cultural similarities, or for technically speaking, the cultural parallels, there were two possibilities explained. Firstly, they said it could be because of parallel inventions, or it could be based on the concept of diffusion. But since they were evolutionists and totally discarded the idea of diffusions, so that they went with a parallel invention concept. Okay. Another pioneer contribution was done by L. H. Morgan. He was an American anthropologist. He explained evolution with respect to sequences in the family organization, in terms of the rules of inheritance of property, and etc. Moreover, his work was based on fieldwork he conducted. He used questionnaires and the genealogical tools as well. He has done a major pioneering work on the Iroquois Indians, and he published his work in League of Iroquois in 1851. He developed this concept of kinship terminologies, and he used the classificatory as well as the descriptive classifications for that. Now, the third major pioneering work was done by Sir James Frazer. He stated that the society has passed through three successive developmental stages, namely magic, religion, and science. And he explained that the early humans have lived primarily by two laws of magic. Firstly, the law of similarity and the law of contact. Thus, the scientific stage represented the highest stage of development. His major contributions are counted out of these three: the Golden Bough, 1980, the Totemism and Exogamy, 1910, and the Ownership of the Nature, 1926. There are certain criticisms through this school of thought. Firstly, this concept of psychic unity itself was the underlying principle of similarity, fine, but It could not explain the cause of differences among different societies. It remained unexplained why there was different cultural traits among different societies. Secondly, when it talked of upgradation of society, let's say from the simple to the complexity, from heterogeneous to the heterogeneity, etc., this theory completely failed to explain why did some societies become extinct or why did some societies were regressing. There was this theory of regression, of degeneration theory of savagery, which stated that the primates have regressed from civilized state to the more regressed state, let's say savagery, and that was again a big criticism to this theory. Furthermore, it could not explain entirely why some societies have not passed through all the stages that they were mentioning and why there was any deviation from the unilinear or the sequential manner of the evolution. Okay. That again remained unexplained. The theory was also postulated on the basis of whatever data was available. So there was complete lack or absence of fieldwork, thus adopting a weak method of study. Although they have done meticulous investigation on this secondary work, but still the fieldwork and the primary data collection was missing. But despite all these criticisms, the theory has established anthropology as an independent discipline in the field of academics. These are some practice questions. Define the concept of cultural evolution and explain Julian Stewart's categorization of evolutionism using the suitable examples. Kindly give your feedback and suggestions if you have any, or you want to ask some question in the comment sections below, so we can have the discussion there itself. Thank you for attending.